Fans of budget pedals rejoice, because I have not one of them for you today, but 4 of them, courtesy of the lovely people at Gear for Music and Hartwood Pedals, who have sent me their Hartwood Pedals Set. Now this is a set of 4 different effects pedals, very affordable effects pedals, I might add, a power supply by Hartwood, and a selection of patch cables too. So this is kind of like your first budget pedal board in a sense. Now of course you could buy all of the items in this pack separately, but if you do buy them as the pack, of course you save a bit of money on everything. Now just before we start, I do want to say that this is a sponsored video. This was sent to me by Gear for Music in order to make this video, but all of the opinions, the tones and everything stated in this video is 100% from my own small brain. So now what we're going to do is kick off with the video then. I'm going to start by telling you about what's in the pack and what pedals we have here. Then I'm going to play them for you in as many different relevant musical styles as I can. And once the music is done, I'll give you a few more in-depth opinions about the pedals and the power supply and the whole set that we have here. Tell you whether or not I think it's going to be worth your money at the end of the day. Talk about the quality and the tones a little bit. And well, at the end of this, hopefully you'll know whether you need to add some of these Hartwood pedals to your rig. So timestamps to everything down there if you'd like to skip to a certain pedal to hear what suits you the best. But let's kick it off and talk about what we've got here. Now for about £150, 170 euros or $170, you get 4 pedals, 3 drive pedals and 1 chorus pedal, a power supply to power them, and 6 patch cables. Now if you were to buy the pedals separately, they'd each cost about $30 to $35. If you were to buy the power supply on its own, it'd be about $60, $70 or euros. And if you were to buy the patch cables on their own, they're very cheap. They'd be about 6, 7, 8 euros or dollars. So in total then, of course you're saving money if you buy the whole pack, but the pedals themselves are very cheap. Now let's go through the 4 pedals, and it starts with this orange affair. This is the Santa Fe Fuzz. This is based on a vintage 60s style fuzz face, sort of a fuzz circuit, and it just has 2 knobs, a very small volume knob here and a much larger fuzz knob here that tells you how much fuzz you're going to have in your tone. Now this being a fuzz face style of fuzz, it should give us everything from classic fuzz tones from the likes of Hendrix and Dave Gilmour and so on, all the way through to modern noisy garage rock from the likes of Jack White, the Raconteurs, the White Stripes, the Black Keys, and so on and so on. So this is the Santa Fe Fuzz, and next on the list we have the Blue Ridge Overdrive pedal. This is going to be based on a Marshall Blues Breaker style of circuit, and that means it's going to give us a wide range of low and medium drive sounds, and again it's going to be very versatile for many kinds of rock and roll music. Now the Blues Breaker got its name from the early 1960s Marshall amplifiers that were played by the likes of Eric Clapton, John Mayall, the Blues Breakers, and so on and so on. Now we have 3 knobs and a 2-way switch on this one, so we have a volume control, a tone control and a gain control, and the 2-way switch goes from normal to bright. Flick it up to the bright mode to add some cutting high end if you really need to cut through a mix. So that's the Blue Ridge Overdrive pedal. Then we move up into even higher gain territory, courtesy of the Beartooth. Now this is going to be based on a ProCo Rat style of circuit, so you guys know if you've seen my channel, I absolutely love the Rat and I'm very excited to try this one. We have 3 knobs and a 3-way switch on this one, a volume control, a filter control, that's your tone, and a distortion control, plus the 3-way switch that moves us between normal, turbo and solo modes. And those are going to be 3 different types of ProCo Rat pedal. There is a normal Rat pedal, the standard ProCo Rat, there is a turbo Rat, there's a solo Rat, there are many other Rat type pedals as well, but these are basically going to give us different clipping types, different sort of subtle changes in the style of distortion that we hear, in the headroom that we have as well. And well, I'm very excited to try this one, so really looking forward to that. So this is the Beartooth, and after the 3 drive pedals, well, we go into chorus territory, courtesy of the Collinsville Chorus. Now I suspect that this is going to be based on a classic chorus pedal like the Boss CE2, and we just have 3 controls here: volume, speed and depth to control our warbly, chorusy goodness. So you've got your 4 pedals then, and you're going to need to power them, and if you've bought the set, well, you can do that via the included Hartwood Pedal Power Supply. Now this power supply can power up to 12 pedals if you need it to, up to 10 of them at your more standard 9 volts, which all of the 4 pedals that we have here are going to be powered by. And there's also an outlet for 12 volts and for 18 volts as well. So if you've got a rare or an older pedal that needs 12 or 18 volts, well, you can power it via this power supply. Now you've got 2.2 amps of power in total with this one, and with the 10 9-volt ones, some of them are 100 milliamps, some of the outputs are 300, and some of them are 500 as well. So we're going to have no problem powering all of the pedals here, absolutely no problems at all. And with a couple of 500 milliamps outlets, we're actually going to be able to use this to power some more juice-hungry digital pedals from the likes of Strymon, digital delays, digital reverbs, and so on and so on. But that's not all. We also have a 5-volt USB out on this one, so if you want to charge your phone while you're playing or practicing, or if you want to use this to power something like a small MIDI keyboard or a beatbox or something like that, you should be able to do that too. So that's a pretty cool thing to have. And finally, we have 6 multicolored patch cables here. These are kind of the cheap and cheerful variety, but they feel fairly decent, they feel fairly solid, and I will be using those in the playing part of this video too. So that's the set that you can buy. Like I said, you can buy this whole set, or you can buy all of the components individually as well. But what we're going to do now is make some music with them. So my amp for today is going to be my trusty Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amp head. For most of the time, we'll be on a very neutral clean setting on the amp with just a tiny bit of reverb. We'll be running the 3 drive pedals into the front end of the amp, and the Collinsville Chorus will be running into the effects loop of the amp, because that just works better with the Black Spirit 200, and I have the option to do so. However, of course, you could run the Collinsville into the front end of the amp as well. That's just a personal taste thing. My guitar for today is going to be the wonderful 2025 Ibanez AZ Standard, the double humbucker edition. That's an incredibly versatile guitar that gives you full fat humbucking tones and proper decent coil tapped single coil tones too. So you're going to hear everything from pristine cleanish sort of tones with the single coil pickups through to full on down tuned metal with those modern sounding humbuckers as well. Now if you want to see more detail on that Ibanez guitar specifically, there's another video of that one there elsewhere on my channel. And that's about it. So we'll start playing some riffs now. Like I said, timestamps to everything if you'd like to skip to a part of the video that suits you best. But let's play some music and I'll tell you a bit more of my in-depth opinions about these Hartwood pedals afterwards. Okay then, so that was 4 affordable Hartwood pedals, and I hope you enjoyed the playing, the riffs and the tones. Please leave me a comment down there telling me which of the 4 pedals you preferred, and whether or not you think you're going to be buying any of these, and whether or not you think it's worth it to buy the entire set, or whether you're just going to be treating yourself to 1 or 2 of these pedals. As usual, I look forward to getting a nice old discussion going down there in the comments. But now it's time for me to tell you some more in-depth opinions from my experiences with these pedals. I had these sent to me by Gear for Music, Hartwood Pedals, a few weeks ago, and I've played them a lot in the meantime. And for the price that you pay, I have to say, as a very short conclusion before we start the opinions, they're very decent indeed. If you think that these 4 pedals are each about 30 to 35 euros on their own, well, they offer a surprising amount for that kind of money. I mean, first off, in terms of build quality, these are not going to be the highest quality products that you're ever going to buy, but we've got nice solid metal enclosures here. The knobs feel decent, the switches feel decent, the jacks feel decent as well. I don't think they're going to break anytime soon, especially if you're fairly careful with them. Of course, we're worlds away from boutique hand-built stuff, but these are very decent indeed, and the lights are very bright, so you're never going to miss them if they're on a dark stage, so no worries there whatsoever. So I've got the Santa Fe in my hand. We'll start by talking about this one first, and this is a great beefy and evil sounding fuzz, and it really will get you sorted if you're looking for your first fuzz style pedal. It's also very quiet for a fuzz pedal, which I think is a very good thing to have, because some of them can be very noisy, and despite just having 2 knobs, it's a very versatile affair as well. Turn down the fuzz and maybe even roll down the volume control on your guitar as well, and you get some lovely sparkly edge of breakup tones, some plushed clean sounds, and then turn the guitar back up or turn up the fuzz knob on this and you get brutal all-out fuzz madness. And I did find that this pedal is great from everything from more vintage sort of fuzzy tones through to modern fuzzy tones and some really heavy doomy sludgy stuff as well. So this is going to be a great option if you're looking for an affordable fuzz pedal, and it finds its way really well into this set in my opinion. Now the second pedal that we tried was the Blue Ridge Overdrive pedal. I'm a very big fan of transparent overdrives and lower to medium gain drive pedals. My favourites of all time would be the Greer Lightspeed and the Paul Cochran Timmy pedal. However, both of those are built in very small numbers in the United States of America and will cost you, at least in Europe, well over 200 euros per pedal. Now this is going to be about 35 euros for me to buy new, even less in context of the set, and it offers great performance and great tones for that price. Now this being a blues breaker style of pedal, there are many different tones on display. It's great for blues, it's great for indie rock, alternative rock, harder rock, and even punk and some heavier stuff as well. And I found that you get a surprising amount of grit as you wind up the gain control on this pedal, and that really adds to the versatility of the Blue Ridge as well. Finally, this is a blues breaker style circuit, so it can be a little bit dark, but that's exactly why we have a bright switch. Flick that up and you get a great amount of cutting high end that will help you cut through any mix, and again adds to the all-round nature of this pedal. So this is going to be a great option too. Now third and finally, in terms of the drive pedals, we had the Beartooth, and this is indeed a ProCo Rat in everything but name, and that means it's a fantastic pedal, and I really like it. Now you've got 3 different kinds of clipping here, 3 different styles of Rat pedal, you've got loads of headroom, you've got loads of different distortion options here as well, so it's super versatile for 80s heavy rock stuff, for 90s grunge and noisy rock and alternative rock, and for some much lower gain style tones as well. The Beartooth, the Rat pedal, in effect is a very versatile pedal, and between that, the Blue Ridge and the Santa Fe, I think you can cover any kind of dirt in your signal that you could ever want. So those are going to be 3 fantastic choices there. Now the 4th pedal is the Collinsville Chorus, and this is a very different affair to the rest of them, of course, because it's a chorus and not a drive. I'm sort of surprised that Hartwood made a chorus instead of a reverb or a delay, but there we go, this is what we have. This is a decent pedal too if you like your classic chorus sounds. What I would say is be very careful with the settings. The more you turn it up, the more it is going to get very warbly and very kind of tremolo-y, almost like a rotary speaker, but not. It's a very interesting effect that you can use quite well in certain contexts, and I think I demoed for you a couple of times. But for me, I'm going to be turning the speed and the depth down and just having a lush sort of clean sound a la Sam Fender or something like that. One thing to say about the chorus is that we also have something a little bit like a slapback delay in the signal, so there's always a tiny bit of a delay going on, and that might affect whether you want it or not. Doesn't bother me, I find it quite a nice thing to have, but there you go, you can't can't turn it off, and you can hear that in the playing part of the video too. So those are the 4 pedals. Stacking them together gives us even more in terms of tonal options, and for me, stacking the 3 drives in various combinations was where it was at. The Blue Ridge and the Beartooth together sound fantastic, the Santa Fe and the Blue Ridge sound fantastic, and all 3 of them are just an amazing wall of sound, so they're great fun for doing that as well. Now with the Collinsville Chorus, when you're mixing that with the others, again, you just need to be careful of how much you have in terms of speed and depth, otherwise the chorus can really overwhelm the rest of the sound, and it goes to places which, at least to my ears, are not very decent, but you can make it sound very nice and add a chorus to your distortion sound, and you can get, with a bit of subtlety, some pretty cool Van Halen 80s rock tones, and that kind of works really well too. So in terms of stacking, these pedals offer even more, and what we've got with these 4 is effectively a whole pedal board. Now all I would need to add personally would be a tuner pedal and a delay and a reverb, and you've got every tone under the sun really, and hopefully Hartwood are going to bring more pedals out soon so everyone can complete an entire Hartwood only board. Tuner would be great, a reverb and a delay, maybe some other modulations, and more different drive options are always welcome, and so on and so on. So hopefully we can see that in the future. And what you could do if you had more pedals would be to use more of the outlets on the Hartwood Power Supply. I find the Power Supply to be very decent, again for the price that you pay for it as part of the set, very affordable, and all of the outlets on this Power Supply are isolated, and that means that it's going to reduce the noise even more. It's always worth it buying an isolated Power Supply rather than a cheap daisy chain sort of a Power Supply, because you're just going to get less noise, less interference, and you're going to have more fun playing music and spend less time worrying about why your guitar rig is buzzing. Another cool thing is having this USB out here. I used it to charge my phone for about an hour while I was recording the music for this video, and my iPhone went from 15% to about 87% during that hour. So it's got a fair amount of juice in it, and it did a really decent job. So that's another nice little bonus to have. Finally, the 6 patch cables here, 6 different colors. So if you're into color coordinating your rig, you can do that very well. And they feel decent quality. They're nice and flexible. They don't feel super cheap. They're fairly low profile as well, so they're going to do well in terms of space saving on your board. So I can recommend these too. And that kind of goes for the whole set. If you do want to spend the money on this entire set and save some money on each individual component, I would say it's well worth it. Now for someone like me who already owns hundreds of pedals, and I have as many patch cables as I'll ever need, as many power supplies as I'll ever need, I probably don't need the set, and so I can pick and choose the bits and pieces that I would want from this set. Now for me personally, which of the pedals would I go for? Well, you absolutely can't go wrong with the Beartooth. I love the ProCo Rat, I love the distortion and overdrive tones that this offers up, and the Beartooth does that in spades. It sounds absolutely fantastic, so I can highly recommend this one. The Blue Ridge and the Santa Fe are great in terms of drive sounds as well. If you love your lower gain drive tones and you love your Indian alternative rock like I do, then you're really going to appreciate the tones of the Blue Ridge. And if you're into fuzz and you want to have one which is going to be kind of easy to get on with, well, the Santa Fe is probably a decent choice. And for that price, for about $35 or euros, it's a great way to get into fuzz without spending too much money. So I can highly recommend it in that sense. I think for me personally, the pedal that I like the least is going to be the Collinsville Chorus. I've never been the world's biggest chorus person anyway, but the Collinsville Chorus just doesn't have the versatility that I would want from something like that. And with the little delay thing, I don't mind it, but it's something that I would like to be able to dial out on my own chorus pedal. It's still a decent enough pedal and it does good basic chorus sounds, but that's the one of the 4 which I personally wouldn't need. Now in terms of the power supply, I could totally imagine using that, and I will be using it in future. Same with the patch cables, so buy with confidence in that sense, I would say. But if you've been watching this video and you're wondering kind of what else is out there at this sort of a price point, well, there are so many budget pedals these days. When it comes to budget overdrives, there are so many different brands that offers them, from the likes of Harley Benton and Joyo, from the likes of TCL Electronic, and so on and so on and so on. The world's your oyster there, so try out as many different options as you can. And if you have any specific guitar tones or any specific guitarists you're looking to emulate, well, check out what pedals they're using and base your purchases on those. Are they using a Blues Breaker style pedal? Well, the Blue Ridge is going to do the job. Are they using a ProCo Rat? Well, the Beartooth could be your option there as well. At the end of the day though, I would have no worry in recommending this Hartwood set to you. If you're looking to start your own pedal board for yourself, it's a great option to get get started, and you will build it from there and have fun doing it, I hope. Now, I hope that this video has answered all of the questions that you may have had about the Hartwood pedals here or the entire set, but if there's anything else you'd like to know, please drop me a line down there in the comments and I shall do my best to answer you. If you'd like to see my video of the awesome Hartwood Daytona offset guitar, that's elsewhere on my channel as well, so enjoy that one too. That's another great value for money guitar from the folks at Hartwood. But that's been it for today's video. If you're still around, would make my day if you wanted to like or subscribe to the channel, because that really helps. But I've been Rich, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.